4, 3, 2. Good morning. This is Brian Beam. I'm Brian Beam, Calcasieu Parish Administrator. We're coming a little early today for this Hurricane Laura recovery efforts public briefing. I believe it's right about 12:25. And the purpose for this is because Governor John Bel Edwards is in town. He spoke just a while ago to the local parishes, primarily Cameron, Calcasieu, and Beauregard, regarding the state's efforts. He had several cabinet secretaries with him to cover the different areas, had some good questions from the local representatives, and then he, I believe, is meeting with the local legislative delegation afterwards. So we appreciate the governor being here. We will go through some of the normal things we do at these briefings, even though it's a little earlier in the day. So let me start off with Dick Grimion, who will update us on some of the recovery efforts from his operational area.
Thank you, Brian. First off, as we've been doing and all of the speakers have been doing, remind everyone to please sign up for your FEMA benefits if you have not done that. All of the other things that we talk about that may be available through FEMA are funneled through that one request that you fill out. And so if you have not filled it out, either do it online or call they have an excellent 800 telehelp number. Call that and they will help you through the process. Safety messages for the day continues to be COVID, wear a mask, wash your hands properly, sneeze or cough into your elbow if need be, and most importantly, maintain that 6 feet social distancing as you can. If you cannot maintain that, make sure you have a mask, and of course, masks are still required in all public facilities. The only major announcement I have today is we've been going over the data from the points of distribution sites, and some of those sites have really decreased in demand. We'll be looking at that today and probably have an announcement on Monday. We probably will be closing at least some of those sites by the end of next week. But we'll have an announcement on that on Monday. With that, I'll turn it back over to Brian.
Okay, thank you, Dick. We'll hear next from law enforcement, and representing the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office, Chief Deputy Stitch Gilry.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. On the law enforcement end, things have been picking up a little bit. Our arrests have usually been between 9 and 15, which yesterday we had a total of 9. Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office had 4 arrests. We had 3 for domestic violence abuse and 1 for looting. LCPD had 4 arrests. They had 1 second-degree murder, 1 narcotics arrest, 1 theft, 1 resisting arrest. DeQuincy Police reported they had 9 curfew stops, 1 arrest. McNeese Police reported 3 curfew stops, 0 arrests. Westlake Police, 0 arrests, 0 curfew stops. Louisiana State Police had 71 traffic stops, 12 vehicle search, 1 arrest. For the past month since the hurricane started, we've actually booked 99 people into our jail, which is really a low number for us for a 30-day count. But I can tell you, our jail is open for business. It's not in good shape right now, but you know what? We're not going to turn anybody away. So if you think you can go out there and commit crime and not go to jail, these are less than ideal conditions in that jail, but we will book you in and you will stay there. So you go out there and you commit the crime, you're going to get arrested. I just want to take a minute to comment on the cooperation that we've had through this whole thing. It's just been totally unbelievable. When you ride around town and you look at where we were a month ago and where we are today, it's amazing. And that's attributed to the leadership of people here in our parish, Brian as the administrator and Dick and the executive policy board. I could tell you, I wouldn't want to go to war with any other group of people. You know, it makes me proud to be a part of this, knowing that we started off crawling, and pretty soon we were at baby steps, and now we seem to be walking, and it won't be long before, you know, we're going to hit our stride and Calcasious's going to be strong. So I just want to tell you, Brian, I appreciate your leadership. You and Dick, y'all do a great job, and, you know, with the National Guard and everybody working together, this has been an amazing step forward to where we were a month ago to where we are today. So thank you.
Thank you, Stitch. And the feeling's definitely mutual. It has been a tough road for everybody, but the challenges the sheriff's office has had, and law enforcement in general, have been tough. And of course, they've been very public about it. Both Sheriff Mancuso and Chief Deputy Gilry contracted COVID. And yet, through all of that, because they've got a lot of good leadership under them who are prepared, and because they could, you know, they could still communicate mobily, they never missed a beat, and that is tough. And it wasn't light cases of that. I won't get any deeper, but as many things as we've all been through, to have that on top of it, we really appreciate your leadership, Stitch. Thank you, and the sheriff. We have a new item today. I'm very happy to have George Swift here today. George is the president of the Southwest Louisiana Economic Development Alliance and Chamber Southwest. And we need to start talking more about business recovery efforts, because that is so critical. And he's got some information. And so I'll go ahead and ask George to come up, and we are going to provide him with a portable microphone and give his report. So come on up.
Thank you, Brian. On behalf of the Chamber Southwest and the Economic Development Alliance, we would like to announce that we're starting a business recovery center. As has been mentioned, we've had thousands of residences affected, but also thousands of businesses, particularly our small and medium businesses that don't have the resources to bring teams in from outside and generators and all of that. You can ride around and look at all of the destruction, and you can see many businesses that are completely destroyed, some badly damaged, and a few managed to escape damage, and they're open. What we want to do at the Seed Center on the campus of McNeese, which, by the way, was one of 2 of the 50 buildings at McNeese that did not have any damage, we're very fortunate in that, we have set up a business recovery center. This is where people can come in if they need computer or internet access. We can have that. We have SBA counselors there from the Small Business Development Center at McNeese. And Monday, Senator Bill Cassidy is coming, and he's going to bring some SBA assistance with him. And they will be there from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. on Monday. But we'll be open Monday through Friday. But we are requiring appointments due to the COVID-19, so you need to call ahead. We're to serve the 5 parishes of Allen, Beauregard, Calcasieu, Cameron, and Jeff Davis. You can call 337-433-3632 and make an appointment. So that is the way we're going to handle that, where we will be able to maintain our social distancing, but we want to work everybody in. So if you're a small business owner or operator and you need assistance with SBA applications, give us a call at 433-3632, and we're there to serve you. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Just go ahead and read the question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, first of all, if they come for an appointment, are there any particular documents that they need to bring? And secondly, I think, you know, whether you're a business or a resident, that all of this can be very overwhelming. So for small businesses that, you know, are just what are the first one or two or three steps that you would suggest that they undertake to begin the process of getting back on their feet?
Well, as far as the SBA applications there, you can go online and see the application and the documents that you would need. But basically, your income tax to prove that you are in business and that you've been in operation, and then other financial documents will be required. So people can call and get more information before they come in if they would like at 433-3632. As far as other recovery efforts, one of the things that, of course, people have to do is get their business open so they can receive customers. They have to have power, and has been discussed much internet service so they can be online. And so once you get that, then they can begin the process of restocking if they're retail or have merchandise or restaurants and things like that. And again, we've got to do all of this in the COVID-19 atmosphere, which means that, you know, things are limited, but it can be done. One thing about the people of Southwest Louisiana, as we've proved time and time again, we are a resilient people. We're being tested a little bit this time, but we're resilient. We will come back. Business can recover quickly. We had a number of businesses that were open within 24 hours or 48 hours after Hurricane Laura. They had the resources to have generators and people from outside the area to come in and help. So all you need is some power and an internet and a facility, and they will survive.
Of course, the news media was not allowed in the meeting with the governor. What good news and what bad news did he have for business in the area?
Well, one of the programs that we have been counting on is the Main Street Recovery Grant Program, which is administered by Treasurer John Schroeder. There's some conflicting information as to whether the funds have been over allocated or not. So that's what the governor was talking about. I think, was under the impression that there's still $175 million available. We have information from the Treasurer's office that all the money, if the applications go through, at 50% of the applications are approved, the money is gone. So that's the first thing. We don't want to encourage businesses to apply for that, even though they can, but we don't want to encourage them to do so if there's not a good likelihood they'll get the money. We don't need false promises and false hope right now. We need reality. And since you mentioned it, on the national scene, we need another round of the Paycheck Protection Program, and Congress needs to act. It does not look like that's going to happen anytime soon, and it could be too late for a lot of businesses. So we're working that angle too.
We greatly appreciate George being here. As we say a lot at these briefings, the issues transition, and so much more is going to be talked about for business recovery, which we all need. And I've known George for many years, and he and all the members and staff of the Alliance are champions for small business. That Seed Center was actually built, interestingly enough, a lot of money after Hurricane Rita helped to pay for that, along with local matches and an EDA grant. And that, although we certainly treasure all of our businesses, large and small, we needed a little bit more focus on small business here, so that came around. And if we can get any more of that sort of CDBG money this time around, we certainly want to use it to help them, because they need it. It's this one was bigger, but as George said, we're very resilient, and that's going to help us again, because we need that resiliency right now. So we appreciate you being here. Yes, Teresa.
Is there a central location, whether it's your website or the Seed Center website, where somebody is keeping a running list of businesses that were open? For example, I need gasoline and I'm not sure where I'm going to go because my usual gas station is apparently closed.
You,
The Alliance website,
okay.
AllianceSWLA.org.
AllianceSWLA.org. George tells me you can go that, and they are tracking as best they can businesses that are open in this area, which I totally agree, Teresa, especially when it comes to gasoline and restaurants. So, so thank you for asking that, and we appreciate the Alliance doing that because that has to change a lot, obviously. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which are our individual assistance updates, and we do have Jerry Stoller with FEMA today.
Thank you, Administrator Beam. Today, rather than go over the numbers, I just want to spend a couple of minutes since the last meeting we had. We talked about the temporary housing. There are a couple of points that I want to make sure everyone understands. The first is you only have to register with FEMA one time in order to be eligible to be considered for temporary housing. So if you've already registered with FEMA, you have your FEMA identification number. That's all you need to do in order to be considered for temporary housing. Now, my second point is this. Just because you've registered doesn't mean that you will receive temporary housing. Households will be called, and that process has started. It started last week, and it's continuing 7 days a week. Households will be called, and the head of that household will be asked a series of questions about the type of damage that their home sustained, and they'll be asked some questions about the composition of their household, and that information will be used to determine whether or not a household will be eligible for direct housing or temporary housing. So not just because you've registered, that doesn't mean you're going to get it. It just means that you are eligible to be interviewed for it. And so we are working through that process even as we speak. That is going on. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. There is another key point that I wanted to make with regards to the FEMA assistance that households are receiving. And again, I just want to make sure that those of you who have received assistance, that you understand that this is a grant. It is not taxable. You will not be expected to pay this back. But we do encourage all of you that you be very careful with how you use this money. And there are, certain things that this FEMA assistance is appropriate for, and other things that are not. And I'd just like to kind of go through that. Just again, as a reminder, the basic purpose of this assistance is to help you make repairs to make your home habitable, and also to replace some essential things that you need in order to function day to day. That could include replacement or repairs to your primary vehicle, right? The primary vehicle that you use to get to work and to run errands and such. You can use the assistance for any medical care or treatment that might be necessary for an injury that you sustained as a result of the disaster, okay? You can use it to replace basic clothing. Perhaps during the storm you lost some tools that you need for your job. That can be, our assistance can be used for that, or any educational materials that you lost as a result of the storm. Moving and storage expenses. Again, all related to being displaced from the storm. Those are the types of expenses that we consider to be proper use of disaster funds. Now, there are things that you should not use the FEMA assistance for, and that would include, leisure travel or entertainment, regular living expenses or discretionary expenses, right, that are not necessarily essential, right, that are kind of things that you like to do that might be related to a hobby or whatnot. Those are the types of things that would be considered inappropriate use of the FEMA assistance that you've received. And we would also encourage you, as you spend this money, any receipts that you accumulate, it would just be a good idea to hang on to that and put that someplace where you can archive that and have available, for a couple of years, because there is a possibility that FEMA may come back and want to know how that money was used. And if, in fact, it's demonstrated that it was used for inappropriate expenses, you could be found ineligible for assistance in the future. So I just wanted to kind of make that point about our assistance. I was very glad to hear that that there is going to be a business recovery center that's going to be started here in Calcasieu Parish in the city of Lake Charles. And that reminded me to remind all of you that the Small Business Administration is not just designed to assist small businesses, although that certainly is a very important function of that organization, but the Small Business Administration also provides low-interest disaster loans to homeowners. Up to $200,000 are available to homeowners to repair or replace damaged or destroyed real estate. And homeowners or renters are eligible for up to $40,000 in low-interest loans to repair or replace damaged or destroyed personal property. And again, I would remind everyone that when you apply for federal assistance, that SBA loan application is included in the information that you receive, and that we encourage everyone to fill out that loan application. You are under no obligation to take a Small Business Administration loan. However, completing that application and submitting that as part of your full application to FEMA will help us determine your eligibility for some forms of our housing assistance program. So again, that Small Business Administration, a great partner with the federal government during times like these, and they are designed to not only assist businesses but also individual homeowners. And that concludes my prepared remarks for today's subject. Any questions?
Well, first, I just wanted to know if somebody has a question about whether something is appropriate to use FEMA funds for. Is there a particular number that they can call to say, hey, I'm planning to, do this. My swimming pool is full of, stagnant water. Can I hire a pool guy to pull it out before somebody drowns in it and all the mosquitoes attack the neighborhood? I mean, can people call to find out if an expense is okay?
Yeah, I would encourage any homeowner, if they want to begin to clean up their property, as long as there are no power lines or things like that that are that could possibly be a hazard. As long as all those are removed, I would certainly encourage homeowners to begin the process of cleaning up. However, they should document with perhaps video or pictures the condition of their property, after the storm, so that as we go through the assessment process, we can actually see what the property looked like, as soon after the storm passed through, so we can see the full extent of the damage. Okay.
Is any of the money allowed to be used for dealing with pets?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite.
Dealing with animals, dogs, and that sort of thing. A lot of people are in a quandary as to what to do with their animals. And I know some people have sent them off to relatives and that sort of thing. There's hardly a yard in Lake Charles, I think, that has a fence that withstood the hurricane. Is there, like, for example, if you need a fence so that you can maintain your animals and possibly your small children, can you buy a fence with it?
Yeah, I think for anything that has to do with the care for the pets, I would work through whatever the services may be provided by the parish or the local jurisdiction.
Okay, and also, I think Wednesday you said you might have some more up-to-date numbers as to how many people from Lake Charles are outside Lake Charles, and perhaps more on, where they are. Are they in Texas? Are they in Mississippi? Are they in North Louisiana? If you have any update on that, I'd be interested in that.
Okay, yeah, and okay, so I think you're asking about how many households in Lake Charles are eligible, right? And what I want to do is on every Wednesday in this setting is provide some more details about how we're progressing on the call-outs. Okay, when we discussed this on Wednesday, the process had just started. We have called, I think, several thousand households right now. That's for the entire state, and right now the numbers are. It's really very difficult to identify any trends, and I haven't been able to get the precision I want to report specifically for Calcasieu Parish. But I look forward to be able to doing that every Wednesday in this setting. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. We'd like to hear from the Red Cross in the briefings, and today we have Sid Ellington to come forward and give us an update.
Thank you, Brian. Well, the Red Cross is in the process of transitioning as power is restored, as the Boyle moratoriums are lifted, and people start trickling back into their homes. We're in the process of transitioning from response to recovery. However, the Red Cross will be here as long as it takes to make sure that folks are taken care of. But there are three areas that I'm ready to report on today. One is sheltering, second is food distribution, and the third one is damage assessment and individual assistance. So we're going to continue to work with DCSF to make sure that folks have all their sheltering needs. Right now, we are still managing 39 non-congregate shelters, and we've got about 4,400 rooms that are reserved and under Red Cross management, and we're housing about 10,500 people right now. These numbers are continuing to trend down. It's in fact dropped 3% since Ed Bush reported out on this same format on Wednesday. We're still working to support the Texas-Louisiana state coordinated effort for shelter consolidation and transfer of Louisiana residents back into the home state. We're working closely with EOC, with DCSF, and a coordinated line effort to reduce shelter populations and get folks back into their homes if their homes are livable. As it relates to distribution of food, right now in Calcasieu Parish, today we are delivering at 4 locations approximately 800 meals. But again, as power is restored, grocery stores start to open back up, kitchens are closing, and that will be throttling back down as well. Damage assessment and individual assistance. Right now, we've completed about 42,000 DAs, or damage assessments are completed. That's about 90% of what we need to get done in Calcasieu Parish. We have a significant number of homes and residences that have sustained either major damage or have been completely destroyed, and we're missing names on that list. So we're working not only with Lake Charles, but with all the cities and towns within Calcasieu Parish to try to match those addresses up with the people who actually live there. So we urge all the residents of Calcasieu Parish to please provide that information when you're contacted, to your local government. The Red Cross is going to stay here as long as it takes. We're working with our partners such as FEMA, such as DCSF, to take care of people. We're working again, to throttle back on shelters, and folks who may need transportation to return to their home parish are asked to call the State Reception Center, and that number is 337-330-4636. We've still got a lot of Red Cross folks here in the state of Louisiana, but we're starting, since we are a immediate disaster response type organization, we are starting to redeploy a lot of those folks that are from out of state, back to their home station. But we still have about 550 Red Cross volunteers and full-time staff here in the state of Louisiana in response to this, this Hurricane Laura. That concludes my briefing, subject to questions.
I don't know if this is your department, but I think a lot of people who are trying, trying to salvage items, face the quandary of what to keep and what to throw away. And like, say you keep a piece of furniture that was rained on in your house and all, and is all messed up, what are some of the best ways to attempt to salvage this or clean it? And what things should you just, there seems to be a lot of debate. Like, let's say you had clothes that were rained on. I know some people who will throw it all out to the curb. Other people like me will stick it in the washing machine and see what it looks like, okay? So I just wondered, and maybe LSU Extension Service is going to be the best office or whatever to call, but I just wondered if anybody has any suggestions. It's like with the refrigerators. Some people throw them out. Some people get out their heavy-duty cleaner, like me, and salvage them. So I think that some guidance along those lines would be helpful to many of us.
Well, I think a lot of those are individual decisions, based on what folks want to do. Maybe to some folks it's easier to throw it out and replace it. Other people may not have, the wherewithal to do that, and they will want to salvage it. What we do, as far as the Red Cross goes, is we deliver, cleanup kits. In fact, in Iowa, the town of Iowa, this morning, we delivered some 350 cleanup kits to the residents there at the request of the fire chief. We just provide the basic supplies that folks are going to need, to help with some of that, but we certainly don't have a lot of guidance as to what those individual decisions should be. Are there any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sid. We appreciate you being here today. That's actually going to conclude our public briefing for today. From this point forward, we will be scheduling the public briefings less frequently, but we will have a meeting next week, a briefing next week at a date to be determined, though, once we have more information to report. So we're in actually the second month now of beginning of this, and so we'll certainly be very transparent and forthcoming with information. I know in our talks with FEMA, the housing issue will become very important, so we will make sure those things are communicated as well. But at this point, unless there's other questions, we'll conclude today's briefing. Thank you.